We are just 1 week away from Cutdown Day. Next Tuesday, the Patriots are going to need to cut down from 90 players all the way to 56. So I thought, hey, let's take a look at some cut candidates for the Patriots ahead of the 2025 NFL season. But first, last night, Matthew Judon, red sleeves, signed with the Miami Dolphins. And I'll just say, who cares? Because I'm going to say it, he's washed. I don't like him going to a rival. So if you hate the signing, but you don't care, but you hate Miami, go down and spam FMIA down in the comments section. Show everybody how much we hate the Miami Dolphins. Welcome into Patriots Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Brett Alper, taking a look at 4 cut candidates for the New England Patriots as we are ahead of Cutdown Day next Tuesday. The Pats, they have one more game to go in the preseason, so it's going to be a big game. You're going to see a lot of the players that are on the field that might be a cut candidate trying to make that last 53-man roster spot. So Thursday's game against the New York Giants is going to be a make or break for some. We're also going to be live on Thursday, so make sure you tune into our watch party. Hit that sub button if you don't want to miss out. Let's start with the surprise cut candidates. And this is a surprise cut candidate, but it's not really, and it's wide receiver Kendrick Bourne. We've talked about him a lot on the channel, but most importantly, the Patriots have so many wide receivers on this roster. They have 11. They have 11, and I would predict that they're only going to have 7. So you have to cut at least 4 of them. And for Kendrick Bourne, he just is up there in age at 30 years old. He got hurt in the scrimmage, and his career has just declined and declined and declined. It's been a long time since that season where he broke out for the Patriots a couple years ago. But for Kendrick Bourne, after getting hurt in the scrimmage, that was before the first preseason game, he has not practiced, he has not played, and just slowly started to fall down the depth chart. When you have guys like Efton Chisholm that's really showing out, you have Javon Baker who has gotten better. I wouldn't say necessarily that he's going to make this team, but he's also on special teams, so you could keep him. And then Kayshon Boutte, your breakout wide receiver, who was a cut candidate for back in April, but now showing out. I have him as the wide receiver 2 behind Demario Douglas and Stephon Diggs. Pop is the slot wide receiver, but it's down to Kendrick Bourne, and you know that Kyle Williams is going to make this team. So I predict that 7 wide receivers are going to make this roster. And here are my 7. You got Diggs, Pop, Kyle Williams. Matt Collins made a great play in practice today, one-handed catch. He's been working with the ones, so I expect him obviously to make this roster. Kayshon Boutte's locked himself in, and then I have Efton Chisholm and Javon Baker because Jalen Polk, he's also gotten hurt. He hasn't really showed much during camp, during the preseason, the one preseason game that he played where he got injured his shoulder. He might have a possibility of going on IR, saving his roster spot, but Kendrick Bourne also could try to save his roster spot if he goes on IR, but if not, he's going to get cut. And that's a big prediction for me. Second cut candidate, and this, if you would have told me a year ago that he was going to get annexed out of here, like, it would have been Kyle Duggar. And it is kind of a shame to see how far he's fallen because he was a fan favorite. He was one of the top players on this team when he was drafted a few years ago. But since, 2023, 2024, he's kind of declined. I'll say, he's coming off of a ankle injury, but he's completely fallen out of this rotation. I mean, he was running with the second teams. He got demoted. He started off the season as the starting safety next to Jabril Peppers. But then it started to decline, and he was later moved to second team. And then we saw, okay, maybe it's just kind of a trial work, trying to see what happens. Working with the second team, you see right there, Jalen Hawkins, Craig Woodson was with the starting defense. Well, then Jabril Peppers did not practice. He was still with the second team. And it's kind of just what has happened to him? And then in practice on August 18th, he was working with Scout Team. Scout Team. That is basically saying, we have given up on you. And Trey Avery and Brandon Crossley are also guys that are just trying to make the roster. And Kyle Duggar's practicing with them. Then we saw on Saturday against the Vikings, he was in the game in the fourth quarter. He was in the game on the last play, and he made a great play, an interception. and you're like, oh, cool, like Kyle Duggar makes this, maybe he'll make the team. And it was this close from a fumble. It was that close. And that's just a bad sign when you're a starter, former starter, playing in the fourth quarter. It's kind of like we're going to try to get your trade value up. And that leads to my next point is I don't want to cut Kyle Duggar. I would much rather try to get anything, and I mean anything in a trade. A fifth, a sixth. I'm not taking a seventh round pick with that contract. But he just makes so much money. And if the Patriots do decide to cut him, which they might want to eat that cap space because they have $60 million in cap. Well, 59.7, but let's round up. If you cut him, $14.25 million in dead cap that just goes on there and it's used for absolutely nothing. So the Patriots, do they want to eat that? It's a possibility. With all the cap that they have right now, they might just say screw it. But I would try to trade him as much as you possibly can. He's going to play probably a lot in Thursday's game against the Giants, so expect that and expect him to be on the trade block very, very soon. I'll ask you guys, though. I've asked it a lot on this channel, and I'll ask it again because this is probably the biggest surprise of the offseason. Would you cut Kyle Duggar? Type C for cut or type K for keep. We're going to get into two more cut candidates, but I got to welcome back a proud sponsor of this show of Patriots Today, and that is PrizePicks. Preseason football is underway, and college football is just about here, so don't miss any of the action this season on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 or 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money, people. 2,000. I've been using PrizePicks even before I joined Chat Sports and started working here. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. We have a lineup for you guys, and it's all year long. And PrizePicks, they're giving away a max discount. Dak Prescott, the more on passing yards, just one. And I think Drake May is going to be really, really good this season. 19.5 passing touchdowns. The more on that one. And Stephon Diggs will be ready week 1. 735.5 receiving yards. The more on that one. And you can add any player that you want. The max discount for Dak Prescott is for anyone. It doesn't have to be just Patriots players, so make sure you use that max discount. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link will be in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, now my next one. This isn't a bit of surprise because we've talked about him a lot, and that's Cole Strange. And Cole Strange, he's kind of just declined, and it felt like they were doing whatever. The Patriots were doing whatever they possibly could to not have him be a starter on this team. He was listed as the starting left guard, and the next thing you know, Jared Wilson, pop. He was within 5 practices the starting left guard, and they've been rotating around. They wanted to see if Ben Brown, Jared Wilson, he had a bad joint practice against the Vikings. So the next day, no, it wasn't Cole Strange that was getting in. It was Ben Brown, the backup center. So I think that Cole Strange's time in New England is just about up. And when you look at this offensive line depth chart, I don't really think that Garrett Bradbury should be the starting center. Well, you would think Cole Strange, he played a couple snaps at center last season. He knows that position. They're not putting him in there. They've been trying to do as much as possible with Ben Brown at center or left guard, Jared Wilson trying to rotate. They do not want to put Cole Strange in there at all. And his snaps has completely declined from the 2025 preseason to the 2024 preseason. And he's now a backup. Last year, he was a starter. He played 79 snaps in the 2024 preseason. 79 snaps. Or in the last preseason that he played in. Now it's down to 49, and his PFF grade, okay, but the pass blocking grade, and that's what you want to see because you need to protect Drake May, 33.4. And then a run block grade of 59.1. It's really bad for him, and I think that the Patriots are probably just going to give up on him. And they already declined his 5th-year option, so he's not going to be a part of this team next year. You could cut him. Only the dead cap is about $2 million, if that. And if you trade him, who really wants to trade for a 1-year rental when he's not going to be that great and also probably not going to be on your team into the next coming year because you don't want to extend him. Now, the last cut candidate. And this is people might be a little upset about this one, but I think he might possibly get the boot. And that's Jahlani Tavai. And Tavai, we've talked about him, how he was the leader in tackles for the Patriots just last season. And since then, it's kind of gotten worse and worse. Not Kendrick Bourne. We've already talked about Kendrick Bourne, but Tavai, it's just not looking good. He got hurt during OTAs. He said he was going to miss all up to training camp and be back. He came back the first practice, and then he got hurt again. So he's falling down below the depth chart. He was already falling down below the depth chart because they re-signed Christian Ellis, and now you have Robert Spillane. Tavai hasn't played in this preseason, and he hasn't showed anything that is worth, hey, you're going to still be on this team. When they signed Jack Gibbons, and that's Vrabel's man from Tennessee, I don't think that it would just – it feels like Tavai doesn't fit well in this type of system. And Vrabel kind of wants to bring his own type of scheme to this defense, and Tavai doesn't fit that scheme. Ellis and Spillane do. And I see during practice a lot that, Drake May, he also threw 2 interceptions to Robert Spillane, so you want a guy that can drop back into coverage. Well, Christian Ellis, if you look at the PFF coverage grades, Jahlani Tavai is awful at 42.7. And Christian Ellis is at a 66.1. And we see Spillane, he gets just as many tackles as Tavai. He's just as good as a run blocker or run defender. So Tavai obviously dropping back. And then Christian Ellis, as a guy that can go into coverage, he's better than Tavai. And I think that he's shown that during preseason and also during training camp that he is a lot better and kind of a breakthrough type of athlete, kind of a breakout candidate in this season. And if you look at the depth chart, I mean, you moved Marte Mapu, who was also a cut candidate, but that wouldn't be much of a surprise. You have Monty Rice, Jahlani Tavai, but I think Jack Gibbons, with how much that Mike Vrabel likes him coming over from Tennessee when he was the head coach of the Titans back then, I think that he likes Gibbons and he feels like he could be more of a depth piece than Tavai going into the season. I don't know. I think Tavai is cooked, and his injury does not help. There's another one, like Kendrick Bourne. If his injury is way more serious, you could put him on the PUP list, and then he misses 4 games, or you could put him on the IR and kind of save his spot. But if he's healthy, I think that he's going to be a cut candidate. You guys, name one. It could be Marte Mapu. It could be Kendrick Bourne. It could be Jalen Polk or Javon Baker. I think Baker's going to make this team, going to be on the special teams. But you do not put down in the comments section, Efton Chisholm, or I will scold you. I will just say that right now. It will not be a friendly reply. So go down right now, name a surprise cut candidate. And while you're down there, go ahead and also hit that sub button. We will be live on Thursday and also on Wednesday. But the Thursday is our final preseason watch party before we get into the regular season watch parties. And we have a lot more fun. So make sure you hit that sub button. And as always, let's go Pats.